Hello all, my name is Max Whiteley. I currently work at Dext as a product domain expert. That sounds like quite a technical title. Effectively what it means is I help Dext find out what the industry and the industry of accountants want from their product and help them build a product to help eliminate pain points for small and medium businesses and accountants. I previously was an accountant. I studied for I was an accountant for 12 years, working at a small family-run firm, a big corporate firm, and then most recently, I was associate director at a firm based out in Liverpool. So now taking the dive into tech, and it's something I've always had close to me. I've been surrounded by the world of cloud accounting over the last probably 10 years of my career. And even though I worked for Dext, I was a customer of theirs for 10 years prior. So always been around cloud accounting. Think it's what gives me passion around the world of accounting and has helped me, build a bit of a passion in this industry. So looking forward to share some insights with the rest of the panel.
Yeah, great to be joining you, Max and Farid. I'm Ollie. I head up the accountancy partnerships channel here at Starling Bank. So I mainly work with SME customers and also support our network of about 750 accountancy practices across the UK and bookkeeping partners. It's great to be working closely with Farid and the team at Q Accountants today as well, talking all things around optimizing your tech stack. Although, Starling are not directly an accountancy software, we're obviously plugged in to a lot of the softwares directly, the likes of Xero, QuickBooks and Free Agent and others, which we'll come on to talk about, but very passionate about this area personally. So always keen to work with our partners and also the end vendors to make sure that the end SME customer is getting a great connection and streamlining their approach. So yeah, really happy to be on this call and working with Max again and also Farid.
Farid, Gasanov, partner at Q Accountants. We help SMEs and startups across the UK. Currently, we serve over 400 customers. They are mainly UK businesses, but there are a few of them that will have international arms. There are three streams for the Q Accountants. One, just the traditional accounting for SMEs where we do bookkeeping, payroll, VAT return, annual accounts, and we just package this all in one bundle. The second one is working with tech startups that will be very similar to the first stream, but we help them on top of the service that I mentioned with R&D tax credits. We help them with SIS and IAS. And the third one is working with high net worth individuals and dealing with their personal taxation, whether they are moving to UK, moving out of the UK, dealing with the complex matters.
Perfect. So I've got a stat here in front of me, gents. 2/3 of startups don't deliver a return, according to Harvard Business Review. What common mistakes are there, and why is understanding your business tech stack important for success? So I don't know if anyone has any burning desire to go first, or I can.
I'm happy.
Good stuff. Yeah, so I'll go first on this one. So, 2/3 of startups don't deliver a return. I mean, I've seen, customers from my time in practice go on to achieve great things and great success, but I also saw many fall upon the wayside. And one thing is around cash flow is probably the main killer in that space. It's hard to compete in the market and get your cash flow right, but one thing you can do to sort of eliminate that issue is to get your tech stack on point, and that starts with adopting one of the sort of cloud-based accounting solutions. So that's either going to be, in my opinion, the best view of Xero, Sage, QuickBooks. We used Xero when I was in practice. I thought it was the best of the sort of general ledger softwares. And what Xero is, it effectively can link directly to your bank account. So, like Ollie at Starling, which is important to have a bank account that is a little bit forward thinking and does interact with these technologies. So understanding, having just as a basic starter of your main accountancy software being, I would recommend Xero, but also could be, QuickBooks or Sage or Free Agent. That linking directly into your bank account, so your transactions feed in directly into your into your figures on a daily basis, and your accountant and you can work side by side as the data is hosted on the cloud as you wish. So having that set up, automatically you have real time insight into where your finances are up to. You know how much money you've made in the last week, month, and so on. And then you can sort of drive forward that app stack, and you can have things that don't just report on what's happened in the past, but things that look forward and can help you map and plan to eliminate them cash flow worries. So one tool we used in practice was Futurely, which is a Sage product that links directly into the likes of Xero, Sage, QuickBooks, and can, with a bit of human interaction and help from an advisor, you can map out the next 3, 6, 12 months of where your business is going to go, where the cash flow holes are going to be, whether you need to access more funding or sell some of your shares away, or whatever that solution is. But by forward planning, you're not just sticking your head in the sand and eliminating that. So for me, cash flow is the thing that kills most companies. And if you don't have real-time information, you're not speaking to your accountant, once every couple of months and 3 months just to check in, and also forward planning, then you're already at a disadvantage. So, 2/3 don't succeed. You need to, basically, it's an essential part of, running a business, in my opinion, is to, have real-time information, have an accountant that you speak to more than once a year, and then, look forward. And tech enables that, but it's the accountant that will, bring that to life and help you stay cash flow, stay away from the cash flow devils, really. So that's my take on that one, but I'll pass over to you, Ollie.
Yeah, I think from my side, I've been at Starling for nearly 5 years, but I've always been on the digital banking side. But I've always had a big interest in apps and technology, and I always go back to how smartphones have evolved, and the whole sort of technology sphere has evolved from people. Previously, I always use like the Blockbuster and the Netflix analogy, which is people had a way of working or going in and going to rent their at the time it was videos and not DVDs potentially. Might be showing my age now, but every model has changed, and it's the same with expectations from a consumer perspective when it comes to getting a product the next day now, or on Prime even the same day with Amazon. And I think the same applies when running your business, especially when we've gone through a period that really no one had planned for, being the pandemic. So many people were reliant day to day on running their business in a certain way or style, and they had to adapt to make sure that their business survived. And it's the same when it comes to picking your stack of technology. Day to day, for me, we communicate and use email, we use Slack internally, and other softwares that are going to streamline our processes. But I think industry specific, obviously it's relevant to understanding, speaking with your advisor and accountant or bookkeeping partner as well, on what are the potentially 5 to 10 core day-to-day apps and softwares that you're going to use that helps connect your business together. And often it's the same principle with running your car. You need to put the fuel in or you need to charge it, but you also need to see the speed you're going and make sure you're connected to all the dash and everything else. So when it comes to running your business, I think for me, like Max said, it's making sure that you're looking at the end accounting software and the main ledger system from day one, and then adding to the best-in-class suites of softwares that then connect to that, whether that be Starling for banking, and I don't want to sort of plug us too heavily. There's a lot of banks that are out there, but then obviously you've got the likes of Dext as well and other solutions in the market that seamlessly then integrate with your core day-to-day system to make sure your business is operating in the best class possible. And I'm a big believer in what you said as well about cash flow. I think that is, cash used to be the king. I think it's sort of modernized to cash flow is the new king, and making sure you're monitoring that as a business is essential to succeed, I think, in today as running a small business especially. But over to you, Farid.
Thank you, Ollie. I'll go from non-accounting side, perhaps. One of the reasons that Tom from Harvard Business Review identified why the startups fails, which I strongly relate to, is that the lack of research about the market, about the industry, whether there is a market fit. And I see this all the time when we get new potential clients coming with so much passion, like, oh, this is a business idea that we have and would like to incorporate the company. And I spend most of the rest of the hour of the consultation trying to persuade them not to. And if towards the end of the conversation, they still happy with what they're doing and what they want to do. That means at least I will feel good about putting them through this test. Do they really know about the industry and business, and does this business really have a potential? And like literally last week, I had a meeting with someone who wanted to open this bar, and that person didn't know what is business rate. I'm like, look, you need to know the simple concepts in order to identify cash flow, going back to what you guys mentioned, and without realizing that you just jump into the business, getting the lease for 10 years, and then only later on identifying that you actually have to pay the business rate that would be around 30% on top of the rent. That could be crucial for the business. So talking about the tech stack, my vote go to ChatGPT. I think that's a wonderful tool, or any other AI tools that we have today, Gemini being another one, just to do. They would be massive help for you to identify the risks and threats that you may have with that business, and just help to do your research.
Nice. I like that. I like that approach. Perfect. Right. Okay. Moving on to our next point. So SMEs typically have outdated tech stacks from their startup era. So they've started on the journey. They've got a load of apps there. Is it essential for a business review and to rebuild this app stack along the way? Why could this be essential for growth? So I'll take this on. So yes, I think when you set up on the business, there's loads of apps and automation and things, shiny new objects that can take your attention, and it can easily, you can easily get distracted and go along their way and sign up to thousands of different apps. So often when I was an accountant, I used to see, startups with several subscriptions in the first week of apps that they can, they're automating their meeting minutes, they're automating their automation, they're going as much as they can do. So what I would say is that with the accounting solutions, I would say go slow. So like I said, first of all, look at get your accounting solution set up. So that's Xero and your bank account. So your bank account's linking directly to your Xero. Understand exactly how you can utilize Xero to its full potential. So don't just get Xero and then move on. Really double down into that utilization of Xero and how does it work. So one thing for me that is always important is Xero is great, and you can send invoices directly to your customers out of Xero. However, go one step further, and you can integrate Stripe with your Xero account. So when you send an invoice out to a client, they can click to pay that invoice straight away. What does that mean in practice? That means that when their customers get that invoice, they can click to pay instantly, significantly improving your cash flow because they're going to pay. It's a lot easier for them to pay rather than having to get your bank details off your invoice, go into their online banking, set up a payment, and go and pay that across. So what I would say is make sure you're utilizing all of the solutions before moving on to the next one. So, whether that's in like 3-month sprints of, we're going to use Xero and we're going to do a certification on Xero. We're going to utilize everything in there. We're going to set up automatic credit control. We're going to have click to pay invoices and really sort of double down on that. So what I would say is, yes, you want to then move on to the more apps, and I think we'll jump into some of the apps later on, but really sort of take your time in adopting new technology, do your research, and sort of spend a couple of months in making sure that the practice is where you need it to be, and then add apps to it, and do that slowly as well. But so what I would say is the market does move fast, and since I've been in the world of tech, what I would say is that yes, there's other apps you need to look at. So it's worth having, stepping back and having a bit of a review of your app stack and seeing what else is out there, and going to industry events and talking to, you could go to like the digital accounting show that's coming up soon. You could go to that and see what apps are out there and see whether there's any automation gains that you can have, but also not just reviewing new apps, review your current apps as well. So I'm going to speak from this as an accountant who would call myself sort of like a cloud accounting specialist, and spent majority of my career so far in that sector advising clients on how to do that. I've come into a software company in which which I thought I knew 100%, and there's tech within this solution that I didn't even know about, and that's because I learned how to use that solution, and I was so busy in my day-to-day job that I used that solution as it worked when I was onboarded. 10 years have passed since then, and things have been added, and I've not been on every single product update call. I've not done anything. So if I'd have just set myself a couple of hours every quarter to look aside and review some comms from that tech provider, see what updates have gone through, and then have a little deep dive into that to make sure we're using that automation to the most, I think that would be also game changing. So yes, in short, I would say review your app stack, but also review not just new apps, but the current ones that you have there as well.
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in next. I mean, from my side, I hear that often, actually, just to echo your point, Max, that we have a lot of partners that are big advocates of using technology, and their end clients are really open to using more technology. I think obviously one of the factors is always costs and how many pieces of technology am I taking on, and potentially sometimes overcommitting. Like you said, I think as a new business or someone that's quite keen to improve or change their existing technology stack, it can be quite easy to sometimes pull the trigger and take on quite a few different subscriptions all at once. How's that actually going to impact your bottom line? If you are a really small business or a business that's spending hundreds or thousands on technology every year, are all of those things working for you as you continue to grow? And are you potentially even outgrowing some of those solutions? Is there some features and functionality that no longer meet your requirements? And I definitely agree with you on system reviews. I think every quarter to at least 6 months, and if you're someone that's probably not as persistent with things like this, at least a yearly review, and making sure, are there any educational webinars, because usually the end software companies will provide regular updates or offer the opportunity of ongoing education to make sure you are getting the most of their products and services. The other chance as well is that with a lot of these software companies, there are always reviews in pricing and costs, and are you actually getting the best deal that's out there, whether that's an existing or a new customer promotion? Does it connect to all of your software? Is it speaking to all of your softwares that you are integrated with, or is it only connecting to part of your process? And that also comes back down to time, and actually blocking out your time to spend on these tasks is, I think, super important, because like you said, Max, if you get to the end of the year or end of the quarter and you realize you're not taking advantage of the existing solutions you've got, the price point that you're paying, or the features that are actually there that you didn't know that were available, how much time have you potentially wasted? Or from a productivity point of view, how much time could you have gained back on other tasks that are either going to generate more revenue for your business or earn you more direct income from the tasks that you do? And depending on what line of business you're in, that could be another 2 or 3 jobs completed a month, or a number of more tasks or jobs completed a month, and that can even free up your time as you're growing as a team as well. So if you've got more than one employee as well, is there time saved across the business, which ultimately multiplies throughout the year? So yeah, I'd say they're my key points, and I always look out for new customer options and offers as well. So like you mentioned, the digital accountancy show or industry events that you're going to that's tech focused, are there any new customer offers or promotions that are running? Because chances are that's a really nice cost saving. I know that when it comes to reviewing our insurance or costs every year as a consumer, I'm always looking on comparison sites or when my deals are running out, because it's the same, right? It's are you getting the best value for your money, and can you be making a cost saving? And all of those pounds do ultimately add up. And I definitely think sometimes overcommitting and taking on too much before you implement the basics and the foundations. I would start with 3 or 5 and grow it from there once you're really comfortable, instead of taking on 10 or 20 pieces of technology and only doing the bare minimum and scratching the surface with all of them. So that would be my advice.
Thank you, guys. When I started researching the Q accountants, we ended up having Zero as our software, and we like saying that we've been Zero only firm from the day one. But there was a day 0 and day -10 when we were doing the research. I checked the Remember Cashflow.com, I checked the Free Agent, and they're all great softwares. but what we're trying to find out what is a great software for our customers, what they will for our targets, what they will like, and also with the growth plans that we had in place, with that software will be able to accommodate us. And Zero was a right option for us. Is it right option for us today? Yes. Will it be right option for us tomorrow? We don't know. And absolutely, I think that the key is to keep an eye on the other softwares, how they're doing, and also just compare whatever you're using today with the new competitors. I wasn't very happy with our practice management software. There have been like few things, and I thought, you know what, I think it is a time to start reviewing other options. It's been literally 4 or 5 months ago, and we found a supplier that looked really good, and we jumped on we signed up and we used it for a couple of months in parallel, and it turned out not as great as it looked from the very beginning. So that another point is something can look brilliant when you just look at it. They may have fantastic marketing program, like go try, but if you're already using something, don't necessarily just leave it. Maybe run it in parallel for a month or two, just and compare them, and then go and make your decision. So we basically decided to stay with our supplier. We just gave them feedback and said we're very close to switching, and they actually reacted on that, changed those things. So we're happy again. So yeah, it's 100%. If you've got your stack, that's wonderful, but keep an eye on the others. And also, I think what is important as well, how those pieces of softwares talk to each other. So you can have fantastic this software and this piece, but if they don't have an integration between them, then the combined value will be much smaller. So I would say when you're choosing your stack, just make sure that you look at not the individual value of every software, but also what their value will be in combination to your business and to your customers.
Perfect. So I think that leads us on to our sort of last question, which probably could go off on a bit of a tangent here. So if you were building your perfect app stack for a business, setting up and getting moving, what would that perfect app stack be? So again, I'll lead this one. So I've sort of split this into the two, and like I said, do this slowly, do this properly, and make sure you adopt everything. But initially, we've got sort of like the essential tier. So you're going to need something to manage your accounts. And for me, I used it in practice. I know you guys at Q use it as well. Xero for me is the best. It has the best integrations. It speaks in the language of a business owner. So it's not going to talk trade creditors, trade debtors. It's going to talk who owes you money, who you owe money to, and it'll speak directly to that. So as a business owner, you can get more out of that information quicker rather than having to have a degree in accounting to understand what the hell's going on. So for me, Xero is that main tool. Second of all is having a bank that links directly to Xero. So we use Starling a lot. I've known Ollie for quite a few years, and having that ability to not have to fill in a form and send it away and have it wet signed by 3 people in order to set up a bank integration with a tech solution is an absolute nightmare. And instead, just clicking and connecting your online banking directly to Xero at the click of a button is far more seamless. So having that set up in place is perfect. And then within Xero, without sort of moving away from that just yet, so obviously we've got Xero with the bank within Xero, would be to, like I mentioned before, have something on your invoices that your customers can click to pay and pay them invoices straight away. This will, you will result in getting paid quicker and on time, as opposed to just putting your bank details on there. So there's 2 solutions to this. There's Stripe, which is really good, sort of widely recognized, but there's also a tool called iWalker Pay, which I would say is worth noticing. Effectively, what this means is your clients can click to pay now, which will take them to their online banking, and they can transfer the money to you. There'll be no fees on that, whereas there will be some small fees if you use Stripe. But that client can also click to pay later. So if you've ever heard of Klarna for business, and you can, you can effectively spread the payment over 3 to 6 months, and you can choose whether you want to take on the fee for that or pass it to your customer. So it's really flexible, but effectively you're giving your customer a better journey, and they can click to pay now, or they can manage their credit even themselves and pay over a 3 or 6 month period. So not only are you improving your cash flow because you will get paid up front even if they pay later, but you're also offering a better customer journey there as well. So that's something I would suggest there as well. But one thing, obviously, we're creating our sales within Xero. We need to get our purchases in there to match off against our bank rec, and that is this sort of initial cycle. So to getting your purchases into Xero in real time and getting them over to your accountant in real time, obviously we're going to be using Dext. So I know I'm from Dext. I haven't really plugged that too much, but I'll explain what that is shortly. So Dext has 3 products. Their main sort of product is Dext Prepare, which effectively you send your purchase invoices to Dext, and Dext will extract all of the information off your invoice: date, due date, description, VAT amount, what it is you've bought, and we'll put that information into Xero, sometimes without you or your accountant even touching it. It can do that automatically. So you can do that through a smartphone app. You would have like a personalized email address that you can give your supplier. You can give to your supplier. So when your suppliers email you a bill, they can send directly into your account system as well. Or you can do like a drag and drop. Or finally, we have like an invoice fetch solution. So you can give Dext your Amazon login details. So every time you get a bill from Amazon, it will extract that it'll extract the invoice out and put it directly into the system too. So our purchases are coming in directly. We're using Xero to manage our sales invoices, and we're getting paid as soon as possible, and we're connecting directly to our bank account. So we've got all the purchase and sales data in real time. So we can, at a click of a button, we can automatically say, what is the financial position of our company? Who do we owe money to? Who owes us money? And how much money do we have in the bank account? So for me, that is essential is as a first kickoff, and then moving into sort of like the advanced features, I'll be looking at forward planning and that cash flow forecasting. For us, we use Futurely in practice. I thought it was a great tool, and really did help us map out future plans for a lot of businesses when they're either going to be. And you can do a lot of scenario planning with that. So are you looking to hire a new member of staff, get a new office, or something like that? And we can see if there's any cash flow holes on the horizon, and make sure all of our staff get paid on time is essential. Otherwise, you'll probably have mass walkouts as a SME. And then also another one of Dex's products is Dext Precision, which I would say, is a slightly advanced thing, and it wouldn't be something I'd be looking at immediately, but it's great to review how healthy your Xero is, and that's what Dext Precision does. So it automatically reviews your data in Xero, whether there's improvements you can make, whether you can there's any duplicate data in there, and really sort of clean that data in so the data we are reporting on is as accurate as possible. And then finally, if you have any sort of weird and wonderful solutions, that desktop-based solutions or Excel-based solutions, or things that don't quite have automatic links directly into Xero, but you need to feed information in there, whether that's a sales system or something else, have a little look at Zapier and see if there's anything you can do to create links between softwares that aren't normally integrated, and that can really sort of boost productivity and create like automations through unintegrated software. So they would be my sort of essentials. Essentials would be Xero, a great bank, and Dext Prepare. And then from an advanced point of view, I'd be looking at Futurely, Dext Precision, and then maybe Zapier if needed.
Cool. I think from my side, I mean, there's some great tips, Max. I hear a lot of partners that we work with essentially focus on those cores to begin with, and then expand out. I think if I was a new business or already an established small business looking at apps, I think that there's a few things I would do. One, obviously, because Farid's on the call, and I think that's core to fundamentally getting good advice, is speak to your accountant or your advisor. The chances are, they've already passionately reviewed what software works and doesn't, for their clients. The chances are they already support clients within your industry or sector. So some, apps that are maybe a little bit more industry niche or specialist to your specific business needs, they already have some really good solutions for. A lot of industries as well now I find are really collaborative. So there's normally groups, whether that be on LinkedIn or WhatsApp communities or other business owners talking to each other in forums and communities and talking about what software works well for them in a business. And I'm someone that's quite big into reading reviews and testing out products and giving it a go. If there's a free solution or a way to demo and trial out a piece of software, what actually, sort of day to day works well for you. I think the other thing is, what are the best in class services? And normally you can see that through, not all the time, awards, but if you are using Xero, looking at their marketplace or looking at the different app providers' marketplaces and what they're connected to. Generally speaking, most apps in the market that want to connect to a service is normally led through their customers, through feedback and wanting that integration to happen, or there's an actual need for that integration to happen. So generally a good starting point would be, looking at that marketplace. Or if you look at, if we're speaking about Xero or any of the other accountancy softwares, they run their own awards, not only for the end accountants and advisors, but also for the software and financial services providers. So I know that this year, Dext was featured in that, and many of the other financial services app feature in that as well. So if you're looking for best-in-class solutions for, payroll, expenses, and cash flow, those solutions will already be there, and there will be award winners already in those categories, but not equally everyone in the market. I've always found as well that that there is a partner that I work with quite closely, another accountant that's actually built their own app advisory solution. It's called App Advisory Plus. I find this is personally a great free to use resource when looking at different solutions and categories. There are quite a few different app advisory providers and specialists that are out there, but from an actual apps and resourcing point of view, I know that Dext feature quite heavily on their site as well, but there's always really good recommendations and comparison tools to compare between those solutions. And if you are industry specific or looking for one particular solution, that's a great way to build on your stack from looking at different options that are out there. So they would be my sort of free. So yeah, definitely speak to an accountant or an advisor. The knowledge is normally already there. I know that Farid and his team, put in a great amount of time to go to events like the Digital Accountancy Show and Accountex and various, sort of technology focused events to make sure that their clients have best in class solutions. And you've already tried and tested it usually yourself before you potentially refer or recommend a product and service. And then again, speaking to fellow peers, if you have a business mentor or other people already in the industry, and also looking at awards and accolades. I think although being an award winner can vary across different verticals, that's always a really good starting point. Is if they're accredited or have won awards, chances are they're doing something right. So they would be my free sort of go-to spots to sort of work with.
That's great. Thank you, Oli. From my side, that's a problem being lost one on the panel. Everything is said and you have to pick up things. I think from accounting point of view, when the clients come to work with us, we already have Xero and Dext. We don't work with any other softwares in terms of the bookkeeping and payments and bills processing. They seamlessly talk to each other, the both softwares, and we are Xero certified advisors. We're champions in Dext, so that means that we know everything about this software. So we're good with that. And from customer perspective, look, with Xero, for example, we pass on our partner discount to clients. They also save some money there. And with Dext, we don't even charge them anything. So because it's a fixed cost for us. But what is good with the Xero, for example, they have their own app marketplace. So, for example, a restaurant client can go to that marketplace and choose for the POS software that will be integrated with Xero. The same thing about the banks, that you can have the selection of the banks that will have integrated, the Starling being one of them. So there are so many pieces of softwares that the business owners could easily be confused with. So we at least help them with this part. They don't have to worry about their bookkeeping software, and also after that they have a guidance in terms of the marketplace. If we do the step back from the very beginning, if I'm starting the business, probably a few things I will need to do is email server. Like, what do I use? Where do I store the files? I mean, we use Google. Again, it doesn't have to be. There are plenty of other solutions, and the CRM, I think, is one that worth mentioning as well. Again, we use HubSpot, which is probably market leader, but at the same time, There are plenty of other CRM tools that will be specifically for your industry. They could offer a better solution. I think having CRM from the very beginning could be pretty cool, because once you will start growing, you will lose those connections, or you will forget that you had this potential customer at the very beginning. So making sure that you capture the details, and in the future, when you have budget, building the marketing on those potential clients could be good investment. So CRM is the one that I would highly recommend. And last one, I mentioned this earlier, ChatGPT or Gemini or something similar. Especially if you're starting the business, you don't have big resources, you don't have a personal assistant. That could be very, very cool replacement.
Amazing. I think that's some great tips there from everyone. I think I'd like to echo, and I know I was quite technical on my approach, and probably speaking as more of an accountant's point of view, but Ollie's point there around speaking to your accountant is massive and is important. And yes, I had my favourite solutions in practice, and like Farid obviously had the same favourite solutions in Dext and Zero as well. So there is some alignment there. However, there might have been slight differences on the cash flow tools, and the cash flow tools, I'm not necessarily one is better than the other, but as an accountant, it's really important to be an expert in a solution as opposed to like just touching the surface with multiple different solutions in my opinion. So, speak to your accountant and, get onto someone like Farid and, find out what it is they are experts in, and that might just be the better solution for you to go through, just because you're going to have a qualified advisor on hand who's an expert in that solution as well. So definitely a good point there, Ollie, on that as well. So thank you very much.
Just thinking as well. I was just thinking like LinkedIn as well. I mean, I know some people use X or sort of formerly Twitter, but I think sort of leveraging your network is really important as well, because obviously we've all talked about, speaking to an accountant, speaking to a trusted advisor, speaking to the community of different people within that, sort of ecosystem to find out what they're using. But LinkedIn is so powerful as well. Like not necessarily that your net worth is your network, but I'm a big believer in having a big network, and, you can definitely, sort of create open discussions and forums on LinkedIn. We talked about CRMs just then as well, which you mentioned, Farid, and we use Salesforce, but again, having one from the get-go is so important. And if not, connecting with people on LinkedIn is another, key way. And a lot of people, that's how they're making sales. That's one of the biggest verticals to make sales is through the power of a LinkedIn network now. So for me, that would be another thing is thinking about software, but also, LinkedIn is an app. It is within my day-to-day business life, and sometimes it can be just overlooked as an essential. So I'd actually reference that as well as a key part to building your business.
Yeah, definitely agree. As I was an accountant, I spent my last role was setting up a firm, so I was pretty much a salesperson as opposed to an accountant. So I spent a lot of time on LinkedIn, and it's great. You can create all the content in the world, but if no one's there to see it, then you're not gonna make any sort of sales from it. So my tips on that one would be just be yourself. Don't try and be someone else on LinkedIn, as it'll get quite tiresome and it'll be hard to find content on that front. But use the search function on LinkedIn would be my tip. Have a little look in there. And that sounds really basic, but you can, if you put your cursor in the search box in LinkedIn, select enter, and then that'll bring everyone in the world. If you go to the filters section in there, you can search for your ideal customer straight away using the basic version of LinkedIn. So you could say people that work in the marketing industry, they're based in Manchester, and their job title is director or founder. And you can get all of your direct customers directly there at the click of a button. And such a basic function, don't think many people use it. And get connected with people, chat about the great work you're doing. And that's how I, grew sort of my business at the time, and we were doing sort of crazy figures from LinkedIn, sort of like 30,000-40,000 pounds a month worth of annual recurring revenue from the platform alone. So I would also second that. And then we used HubSpot at the time. Again, pot kettle black. This was we were using HubSpot. We might as well have been using an Excel spreadsheet. We were using it that basic. It had all these wild, weird, and wonderful automations and features, but we were just using it as a basically like a live deal, proposal sent, closed, won or lost. And I think that was one regret of using that solution, that could have done a lot more in tracking where our clients are coming from, and all of the customer journey in that front, and really sort of taking our sales to the next level. So I would definitely echo that.
I don't want to go on a LinkedIn off spin as well, but I don't know if either of you have used Boolean searches, but that really helps sort of narrow down the searches, which I think, as I've been using LinkedIn for nearly 10 years now, that just makes things even more specific, adding and or and putting brackets in and things like that to find your ideal target audience. But I could speak about LinkedIn for ages, so I won't take over the session on app stacks with LinkedIn, but definitely think it's a good way of searching.
There's one more I'll add on that as well, is the I used a tool called Apollo.io. Have you ever heard of it? And effectively it uses the LinkedIn search function to you can do the same and find your ideal customer base, but it will extract all of the emails from them, and you can sort of email market people directly from there. Just be a little bit careful with that, because I think if you do it too much and use too much automation, you end up becoming very spammy, and it'll probably won't look too well on your email servers, but yeah.
I know we've talked about automation a lot today, and that may go against what I mentioned and what I advocate. But in LinkedIn, I think it's worth spending a couple of more minutes in terms of researching that person and tailoring your message if you need to ask for something, and just arrange a meet up. I personally don't read the messages that are coming with the marketing sales. I just ignore them. That's my approach. I'm not saying this is good or bad, but if I see someone took their time and personalized their message, or slightly more than, oh, I see your partner at Q Accountants, that would attract my attention.
Yeah. Definitely. I used to send Loom videos through the messenger box, and it'd have a picture of me in the corner of their LinkedIn page, so they knew this was personal. So when it come through, the thumbnail would be a little picture of me in the corner on their profile, and then I would
before they found a way of automating that as well. So
Yeah.
just mass doing that with the mass.
Yeah, but I agree. I think the personalization, I mentioned Apollo there, but the personalization stuff did work. Like, I did use that Apollo, I won't lie, and like, I'd send it to 100 business owners in the marketing space, or what I thought were 100 business owners in the marketing space, and you would get emails back like, I don't even own a marketing company, what are you talking about? So the automation, I think you got to be careful with that and make sure you're hitting the right people. So I think the slow personal approach is definitely the best from that sales point of view. Perfect. Have any of you guys got anything else you want to add to the world of app stack sales and automation?
I mean, we can talk for another hour, but I think that was a good starting point.
Yeah.
I think, just don't overcommit to too many things at once. I think if we were to summarize everything we've said, I know that we've covered a lot on the call, but I think you really do have to take your time. It's getting the right systems in place, making sure there's longevity in future proofing it for your business, and carrying out those reviews like you mentioned, Max, and speaking to an accountant, speaking to an advisor, someone that's potentially even a little bit more tech savvy than yourself. The chances are people have already used it or tried it for their own business. And I think the power of a recommendation or referral goes a long way when it comes to anything in life in general. If someone recommends a restaurant to me, that goes a long way to someone saying, have you tried something, and never actually been. So I think I'm a big believer in people actually tried and tested, it's worked for someone else, and having that recommendation or referral from a friend or someone else in the industry also goes a long way to suggesting a product or service because they're in the same position as yourself.
And another point, Ollie, regarding overcomplicating that, I think one thing that I've seen hundreds of times businesses subscribing for the software and then completely forgetting about it and not using it and carrying on spending money on that on a monthly basis. So the first thing that when the clients want to reduce the cost of the business, I'm like, have you reviewed your subscriptions? And every time they will find something that just they haven't been using. It's almost like gym membership that you just sign up and never go to as if it was.
Yeah, definitely. That's the first step to managing a cash flow issue is stop spending hundreds of pounds a month on subscriptions that you don't use. But yeah, good stuff. Well, I've thoroughly enjoyed catching up with you both, and hopefully we've given some value there to some people setting off on the journey. And yeah, if anyone has any questions, I'm sure you can reach out to us all on the socials and get in touch.